Halo is an amazing franchise, no doubt. Each entry has its own sandbox for you to mess around with, but what if your elitism rises up and you just want to use the best weapon in the game? Can you beat Halo Combat Evolved with only the Magnum? The rule for this run is obvious. I am not allowed to do any damage to any enemies with any weapon besides the Magnum. However, I am allowed to use melee attack in case I don't have the Magnum. If you think that punching the head out of some enemies is being a puss, then I suggest you go watch another video and die some stupid ways. No time for dilly-dally, it's time to drive into the world of Halo, feel the pain that perhaps many people have felt, and make the Covenant fear the image of a man fisting his way through the whole army along with only a Magnum by his side. I chose my difficulty as normal, not playing it on easy since it's too easy, not heroic since I would have spent months playing the campaign, and we entered the first mission, the Pillar of Autumn. I got a good look at the massive spaceship as well as the giant hula hoop from afar. Meet Captain Keyes, Cortana. An attack by the Covenant took place, and it was time to give an old friend a warm welcome. Took a good look at the hangar, majestic Sergeant Johnson make his epic speech. God damn, I cry every time. And we finally see the man, the myth, the legend, the Master Chief himself.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
Some nerdy engineer woke me up from my sleep. Probably I had been sleeping for years now. Did some stupid tests and tutorials. Switched the graphics to original, obviously. Not long after, the Covenant forces broke into the ship and we were forced to run to Keyes. The engineers died on the way, rest in pieces. I ran through many soldiers and scientists, watched them got killed by the Covenant, and finally reached Keyes. Cortana gave me a weird smile, the cannons got shut down, and Keyes initiated Code Protocol Article 2. In a nutshell, fuck this shit, I'm out. I was tasked with keeping Cortana safe, he gave me the Magnum, and finally, the game was on. Some grunts were right outside the control room, they stumbled upon me at my highest morale. I picked them, along with all the enemies I was going to encounter in the future. Some Covenant forces raided the canteen. I gave them a meatful of lead, and they certainly enjoyed it, for they were lying on the ground with happiness. Something hit the ship, and it was time, not running low on us. Me and the Marines moved to the airlock, and the Marines got blown away. Their parents probably hadn't taught them how to stand 3 feet away from the incoming train. I was low on ammo, and this is where my fisting ability come in handy. I abused the grunts and an elite, and things were the same as ever. I got ambushed and my shield was down for the first time. Spoiler, many more to come. I fisted my way through the ship, probably a bit too long. Got some ammo and Captain Keyes told the crew to abandon the ship, for it was exploded. And it was quick. Gotta fucking turn away, come on, just run. Took away the lives of some grunts, not that I care right now. Some fight later, we reached the life pod, launched away from the ship, and we moved on to the next mission, Halo. We crashed on a giant hula hoop. Everyone but me was dead. They were so fragile. And I stepped outside to witness the beauty of the ring for the first time. It was gorgeous, even for the graphics of the time. So beautiful that I accidentally had the urge to become one with Mother Nature, and jumped off the land. Mother Nature rejected me, probably because I hadn't taken a shower yet, and we finally went and explored this ring. A banshee and some enemies detected me. God damn it, ignore the banshee and annihilate the grunts and elite to move on. I found the survivors trying to survive a Covenant attack near Forerunner architecture. Killed the Covenant, and now my new objective was to help the Marines survive until evac came. The Marines got killed by something. I couldn't forgive myself, so I decided to go get those Marines back. The Covenant got right at the steam to give us hell. Little did they know they were facing the greatest invention of mankind of all time. To keep it short and easy, the Covenant continued their great journey in another life form. Foehammer came to save the day and presented to me a vehicle, which would be very necessary for the entire mission, the Warhawk. And it was time to rescue the other Marines. The ride was peaceful, for me only. The Covenant expected to have a picnic in the countryside on the rings, with green grass and trees, blue river in the sky. But the green thing here is me, and the color blue coming from their body was the river. Soon the area was clear and I headed for the last 2 groups of Marines. Let's keep it easy and short. The only time when I died was when I fucking drove the car to the cliff and fell. The rest of the area was fairly easy, and Foehammer came to pick me up. We knew Captain Keyes was being held captive at the Covenant ship, the Truth and Reconciliation, and so that was our next destination. And this is where things got easy to real fucking hard. Let's go through the rules again. You need a Magnum to kill. And what did the game give me? A sniper rifle and an assault rifle. So the only way to kill the enemy on this level was to beat them to death. So... and show the Covenant the way of my mom slapped my butt when I was little. A grunt was sleeping, I gave him an eternal sleep. Good night. A grunt tried to use a sentry, he would never use it again. At that time, a small problem occurred. You see, when you punch something, it's supposed to absorb the damage you dealt. But the fucking sentry must have been enchanted with thorn or something, since I died instead when I tried to punch the grunt with it mounted the turret. I thought it was a glitch at first, so I tried again, and again, and again, until my ancient brain said, "Fuck it!" And I did it the classic way, punch everything, ignore the sentry. When I was finished, the Marines had already gathered and stood still. At the same time, more Covenant arrived and all of them perished. But me and my stupid competitive brain didn't leave. Instead, I tried to kill the grunt mounting the turret, and the result was inevitable. I was depressed and frustrated, but after some attempts, I found something that would be my saving grace on this mission. The Marines deployed with me, yeah, remember them? Not only provided me distraction for the Covenant, they could also throw grenades with a ridiculous precision that destroyed the turret. Elbowing my way through then was easy. So now my new objective was to protect the Marines at all cost. We advanced closer towards our goal. Some stood in our way, so some messages needed to be sent. God damn it, my vocabulary. I realized the two yellow dots on my radar were no longer there. I knew what had happened. The sacrifices were in vain, however, for I had turned off my brain for a second in an endeavor to kill the grunt. Again. This time, one Marine survived and he did this job wonderfully. He still died, but then I was free to send the elite to his maker. He got scared and went there himself. Funniest shit I've ever seen. I've given the Marine the proper burial for his bravery and moved on towards the ship. The next section was filled with gun turrets, by the way. Grab a fire camouflage, sneak attack everything else. Cortana requested for backup. Tried to kill the grunt from behind, didn't die, and 4 damage was a bitch. Next try again, same shit again. I protected the Marines and the turret got sent flying, and we are closer to the ship than ever. Shit, grammar. The ship was right above us. Just some Covenant to deal with, let's get this over with. Grunts, Jackals, Elites, the Marines took care of the turret, God bless them. The real fight started when the ship sent more enemies towards me and the boys. It was hard, but we still survived. The third worry, they sent down 2 hunters. I repeat, 2 hunters. I thought I would have had a hard time beating the shit out of them, but they prefer the Marines more, so I tapped on their back a bit, and we were finally ready to enter the ship. In the ship, things were awfully quiet. Just then, a cloaked sword-wielding elite let out a battle cry, and one shot me. He got me 2 more times, but he didn't know that it wouldn't mean a thing to kill me twice when I could respawn infinitely. A scratch on the back was all that needed. Whoever said that there had been no Covenant probably had died by the elite. I don't know. Some punching later, the Marines got to stand by the big door, while Gwen opened it from the other side. Some muttering later, the elite's recruit with his friend tried to gangbang me. I panicked and jumped down to go bring the Marines in. I still died anyway. Second attempt, I managed to get the running elites, and I decided that it would be best to put everyone on high ground to rest. I did the leap of faith on the elite, fell, and went on a rampage. Things got hot in there, so it was time for the distractions to come in. Things weren't going so well. Should have read the Art of War before fighting these Covenant, but my head was on one bar after the fight. I picked up some Covenant here and there, and finally more reinforcement arrived. I gotta be honest, pressing the Q button over and over again really made my ring finger numb at that point. The fight was more intense when the hunters arrived. That was a lie anyway. Most of the next section of the level was just killing elites, grunts, and shackles. We'll skip that. There was a room with a sword-wielding elite. Just a sudden loyal pain. The room where Keith was being held hostage at had 2 invincible elites and an elite. You could tell that, for he was using a sword. He had an itchy back, so he stood there and asked for me to crash it. The room was clear and I freed Captain Keys, and it was time to get the hell out of here. The next part of the mission wasn't too difficult, if only Keys hadn't died so many goddamn times. it would have been so much shorter of a mission. Warhammer couldn't pick us up, so we used the Covenant dropship to get out of there. Just keep kissing the Covenant with your fist and we can move on to the next mission. Before that, Captain Keyes had mentioned that the Covenant called the ring we were on Halo, and Cortana hacked the Covenant battle network from within my head. How was that even possible? It seemed like Halo was an all-powerful weapon, that whoever held it would hold the fate of the universe itself. I wasn't signed for this foul fantasy shit. I came to shoot some overtaxed space farmers. Here comes one of the most iconic missions of the franchise. We arrived at an island where the Halo control center was at, which could locate the control room for Halo. After a prep talk from Warhammer, we finally jumped right into action. That was my first plan anyway. For those of you watching this video expecting a full mission playthrough, you just got bamboozled. When I was surfing YouTube for some shit, I came across a Halo speedrun, in which included a way to defeat this mission in 3 minutes. I thank God for bestowing upon this model such wonderful knowledge. So how I did it, instead of charging at the Covenant, we'll go the opposite way, till we come across a Warthog. Take it and ride it to the Halo control center. Ignore all the Covenant outside, ride over them if you want, and take your Warthog down with you. Using the momentum of the Warthog, we can slip through the gate, which will close after about 1 second. I did this a few times. The first time the Warthog got stuck right in the doors, which forced me to restart the whole mission. With perseverance and determination of a nation, I slipped right through the gate and said hi to the elites stuck in place, who couldn't comprehend what just happened. And now comes the hard part. The panel is right below you. Normal human would just do the easy way and go down, but this is the Master Chief. He ain't no common human. We will jump down from here, slightly touching this particular platform here, which will absorb the damage and reduce the likeliness of dying from stupidity. Did you get that? Neither did I the first time around, so let's just do it. It was easier said than done. It wouldn't have been so bad if I didn't have to look at this particular cutscene for like after every time I died. That's about 20 minutes of trial and error. Normally I would kill myself and then it's torture, but my stubbornness outshines my reason to torture myself, and ultimately, I pulled it off. Yes! Yes! And it was time to get to that panel. But then, tragedy struck. Perhaps God wanted to play tricks on me, or wanted to punish me for not playing the level the way it should be. But the game put a checkpoint when I fell off a goddamn cliff for whatever reason. A checkpoint so sinister, so evil that it would make eating an orange after brushing your teeth feels like child's play. I tried everything I could, loading the checkpoint, going to the left before falling, but it was useless. I was broken on the inside, and reluctantly pressed the restart button. 30 minutes of hardship wasted for nothing. This wasn't a fucking anime like I always thought it was. I eventually arrived at the control panel after many tries, but my soul was broken at that point, and Cortana located where the control center at. And it was underground, like a super secret facility should be. And it was time to get the hell out. The Covenant tried to pin me down, but they were only fighting a shell, empty on the inside. Grab the camouflage, skip past everyone in every room, and save your ammo. There was this room that couldn't be avoided, so unholster your weapon and be ready to fight. Take the route to the left and deal with these elites grunts. Get fucked in the ass by the yellow elites. Repeat. This particular room here is blocking my exit was the hard one, for I was low on ammo, not to mention that when I managed to get away from it, 2 elites were still waiting to ambush me in the corner, one of which had a sword. After many attempts, I devised a new plan, which is to commit genocide in this very room. If you can't evade the enemies, just remove them and it will be all good to go. Lure the blue elite and challenge him on a 1v1 boxing match, knock him down. Lure the gold one and wait for him to attack, and then run like hell. Grab your beautiful Warthog which has always been waiting for you, and get out. And that's the end of the mission. I decided not to speedrun any level from now on, for it was not right not to play through the torture the ring had prepared for me. We got the Pelican underground as a sign of dominance against the Covenant, and it was time to launch an assault on the control room. Breezing through this room was easy. I tried to conserve as much ammo as possible. Outside of the bridge, some grunts were enjoying their quietness. I became an angel of death and helped them achieve a perpetual sleep. Skip past through these peasants, avoid the arsenal wielding a sword, and get inside so they won't follow you. Punch the elite, stop touching you motherfucking asshole alien fuck, and go outside to see what a day for a picnic it was. I grabbed the Warthog and ran far away faster than when I see my parents take out their broom and call my name. run through a marine for standing in my way, ditch the warthog, and get on the scorpion.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
And you may be asking, why didn't I keep using the warthog? It's faster. And you may be right. But just so you know, there were 2 hunters down in the tunnels and a bunch of ghosts right behind. So using the warthog to get rid of a thruster was a fair trade for speed. But to be honest, this thing is really fucking slow. Press the button as fast as you can, try past the door and no one will chase you. Except for this fucking ghost. I don't have time for that fool. Fire the ceiling to signal your arrival. Carefully maneuver your tank so that it doesn't explode or fall into the pit. Open the door and get the hell out. As easy as that. Running through the Covenant is also an option, which I enjoyed a lot. Ignore the Covenant outside. I ran into a gate with green light, since it means go here next. Died, tried again and succeeded. The sword wielding elite was pathetic. Got a camouflage, grab a ghost outside, and let the Covenant see the legend of a ghost driving a ghost.
No, God!
That was fucking lame. I kept on ignoring as much enemies as I could. Stumbled upon an invincible elite while I was invincible. Got rid of some grunters mounting the turrets, and get inside safely. Let me tell you something, this section is pretty boring, so I'll keep it short for you. Narrow corridor, elevator. Narrow corridor, open corridor. The level gets really fucking repetitive from here. After a while killing the Covenant, I arrived at the control room, and let me tell you this section was bad. Mostly because of my skill, but I control the rolls as if it was my first time trying ice skating. I'm terribly sorry for anyone looking at this horrifying gameplay. Anyhow, I used the ghost to climb some stairs, kill some Covenants, and then right up the big gate. The Banshees were some asshole that loved splattering my body all over the place, and the checkpoint sucks big balls. After all of that, open the gate and see the reaction of the Covenant where you interrupted the party. Just kill them all somehow, and there you are, at the big Halo control room. Upload Cortana on the system. Suddenly she panicked and said we had to find keys and stop him from doing something. She didn't give us an explanation. Jeez, thanks. And it was time to find keys and its crew.
Welcome to the
Shrek Swarm.
motherfucker!
Shot a whole round to bid the ship farewell, and then went to the place where key signal had been last seen 12 hours ago. This place felt eerie and uneasy. Making my way to the temple was easy. Perhaps the calm before the storm. Took the elevator to the lower level. A grunt dropped a grenade on his feet. They all blew up. Some shooting and punching later, the amount of enemies started to drop and blood was everywhere. I found a terrified soldier who kept shooting at me, which was rude, so I gave him a lecture on how to keep silence. Some corridors later, I walked past a dead marine and a helmet storing a video clip, showing Sergeant Johnson and the boys had already found keys and was going there to bring him home so they can have a raid at their mom's garage. But they were attacked by the Flood, and the Flood were looking for pennies to spend. Master Chief was frustrated because he wasn't invited to the raid, and the most dangerous enemies of this run emerged from the darkness to take my life and pennies away. The Flood is infamous for its endurance, but it doesn't mean it didn't have weaknesses to exploit. But I didn't find them on that mission. The small ones were easy to deal with. The possessed one, however, was a hassle and a real threat to this run. Attacking them would be a waste of time, so I decided it would be best to just run away. And I went through with that. The escape took a bit longer due to several changes in the usual route, but I still escaped at the end. The Marines came to help me. I abandoned them and made my way through the flood-infested swamp. And this is where I met him, 343 Guilty Spark, who introduced himself as the monitor of this Halo. As for the conversation, in short, he needed help. So he rudely teleported me with him without asking for my permission, and we have come to the infamous unfair level, the library. This is probably what all you watching right now have been waiting for. Truth to be told, this level is repetitive as shit, but at the very least, the game had been merciful to me and let me keep my Magnum. The goal of this level is to retrieve the index in order to activate Halo, which can kill all the Flood. The enemies on this level are the Flood, which gave me clues their weaknesses. The wobbly bubble ones takes too sharp for them to explode, taking their friends away with them. The weapon-wielding ones are more troublesome to deal with. But as a matter of fact, they drop their weapon when you put 2 bullets inside their weak sparks and temporarily shut their brain down. I don't exactly where those are, somewhere in the middle of the body. Since ammo is very much needed, finding the ones wielding the Magnum is always essential. Your companion on this mission is Guilty Spark, who doesn't attack the Flood at all, but is always constantly go away to open the gate. He is like that one friend you ask to help you buy drinks from the vending machine, but takes an unnecessary large amount of time to do so. And also bring back the wrong one. Anyhow, things did get worse. At least there were sentinels to help me clean up the flood at the second part of the level. And then they were gone too. I made a lucky dodge from an incoming rocket. More flood killing and blowing up balloons later. Sometimes that took place in the tunnels, which were risky and oddly satisfying. Another section of doing nothing but slaying flood later, we reached the big doors. Put more lead into the flood, lure them out and run inside. Shoot at the balloon ones for a satisfying explosion. And we reached the codex, the secret weapon to wipe out the flood, and it took it away. Teleported me back to the control room. Guilty Spark then told me to upload the codex onto the control panels. Cortana stopped me and at the same time took away the codex. She told me that Guilty Spark was full of shit and that Halo destroyed all of the flood's food, which means all life in the universe, including mankind.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Guilty Spark ordered the Sentinels to attack me. He could have taken away my shield or AR away, but chose to take my Magnum instead. You know what's annoying about these Sentinels was the fact that I couldn't attack them. I tried punching, but I was too short to reach them. I died several times here, so I resorted to running away, which required a lot of luck. Right after opening the gate, a bunch of grunts and elites showed up to make my day worse than it already had. It wouldn't have been so bad if I had had my shield on, but the trolls had already drained my shield by the time I got out. It's a good thing that I did this on normal. I don't want to imagine what it would be like on heroic or even legendary. Anyhow, I managed to make the Covenant fight the Sentinels themselves and got away from the scene. A funny thing happened when I opened the gate, and an elite jackal spawned right behind me. I don't know how it happened. I only had 2 health bars left, and a bunch of Covenant were outside, along with a Wraith patrolling the area. So dying was like a normal thing now. With a bit of luck and speed, you can get past the Covenant above. The game crashed there. Fuck. A little sneaking later, I got into the ghost and flew away. My task was to overload the pulse generator by subjecting my fabulous body into the pillar. I got 1 down, 2 more to go. From there, the mission basically became an extremely stretched out backtrack with a twist of the flood. My fists were terrifyingly ineffective against the flood, but I still took 1 out by myself and humiliated it after that. This mission was really long. I was basically doing the same shit again and it got on my nerves sometimes, especially when I only had my fist to do damage. I'm fine with the Covenant, but a room full of nothing but shotgun-wielding flood, I don't want to imagine that. I was foreshadowing the horrendously masochistic section next up. A fucking room with nothing but shotgun-wielding flood.
Oh shit!
Running away from them is possible, but I didn't try that since the next room is also hellish as well. Just when I thought all is lost, I found one, the best enemy of all time.
You're under arrest, Nimrod.
No! Drake, are you okay?
The plan was to make it drop the Magnum, but to do that requires someone or something to damage it. So I had a genius idea to lure another shotgun-wielding one to shoot it by using me as bait. Of course, you knew how that would turn out, and then I went back to hiding. I spent an hour trying to get the Magnum in this area. It was extreme and unbelievably exhausting. There were even times when I was so close to my goal, but then I just died. But just like my adoration for Mitten Squad and Senza will never die, I kept pushing forward, like an anime character would, and I had done it. It was an achievement, a monument to my sins. I then took great pleasure in killing all of the flood there, one by one. It felt so good. The next room had some flood with the Magnum. Killed them all, obviously. From there it was easy. I got outside into an open area, grabbed the ghost, run cause I didn't want to deal with this bullshit. I found a banshee. I flew to the next generator and overloaded it. And that is 1 more to go. The snowy landscape was a battlefield between the flood and the Covenant. I didn't mind it. Seeing your enemies killing each other is always a pleasure. I finally overloaded the final generator. Cortana had a funny idea to teleport me to where Keys was. I was teleported to the nearest teleportation location and she took my goddamn Magnum away from me. Keys sounded like something had struck his glutes, so there was no time to waste. This level was pretty easy to be honest. I skipped past most of the flood, except for one, the one with the Magnum. Getting it was easier than the last mission. Get the turret to blow up somehow, or let it shoot at the flood. They were all viable. God bless you, Bungie. I then made my way to the ship, let the flood do the dirty work, got transported to on the ship. The flood had taken control of the ship. They were everywhere. Just kill some if you had to, run if you can. There was still some Covenant that survived. I promised I did not kill them, I just helped them reach enlightenment faster. Some ass kicking later, I reached Keys, who had repeatedly told me and Cortana to just abandon him. Was dead, infested by the flood. I gave Keys a good old brofist and a peaceful death. The anniversary version looked more horrifying, and it was time to get the hell out of here. After dealing with this bunch here, I could tell these were the elite of the elites since they have silver armor on them. I finally reached the hangar, took a Banshee and flew all the way to the Pillar of Autumn, where it all began, so we could destroy Halo. The ship was a shadow of its former self. I landed safely, and would you look at that? The game took away my fucking Magnum again. I bet I forgot it on the Banshee or something. Not that it matters now. I'm so close at the end. Let's get this over with. The flood and the drones came to me. They all wanted a piece of me. I was able to get away. But then I heard it. The sound of God's weapon. No, not the shotgun. What the fuck was it? Fuck up, Sentinels. Ah, there you are. Come to Papa. Where was I? Alright, got the Magnum. It was easier to disarm the flood now. The hunters joined the party as well. Had a sort of final stroll through the ship, upload Cortana on the ship to activate the ship's self-destruct countdown, and the annoying ball was there. This dialogue was pretty funny. Basically, he was interrupting the self-destruct sequence and trapping us here with the flood. Cortana told me to go to the engineering to instead destroy the engine ourselves. If you're in the face of dismay, some grenades will save the day. Some devs here and there, we will finally add the engineering. Destroying the engines require you to pull back the shafts, and then feed it a grenade, and repeat that action 3 more times. I died a few times due to some stupid jumps, not that I cared anymore. I blew them all up, and it was time to get the fuck out of here. Fullhammer was still alive, hot damn. And it was time for the Warhawk Run section. Needless to say, this part was epic, but the ship was perhaps has been designed by a freaking lunatic of some sort. We got to evac, but Fullhammer sadly didn't. There was a chat neatly waiting for us. I didn't know the vehicle name, stop judging me. We reached it at about 1 minute before explosion, and departed from Halo forever. The Halo exploded in a good old-fashioned style, and that's how I beat it Halo Combat Evolved using only a Magnum. This video was pretty long to make, but it felt real good to beat a challenge made by your masochistic mind. Also a good change of pace for the content I was making. Got huge inspiration from Mitten Squad and Senza. Please check them out. Anyway, leave a like or subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Dislike if you feel otherwise. I am PixelMate, and thanks for watching as always. See you later.